Hi everybody, welcome to Gordon's Bees. It's a bit of a rubbish day outside, so I'm here in the workshop making them some super frames. I'm not saying this is the correct way to make them up, but this is the way I make them up. I've been doing this for about 14 years. Don't get failures with them. They last very well. See me out, no problems with them. So the parts we've got is, we've got the top bar here. This is the supporting bar, and it'll hang upside down in the hive. The two end rails, your wax, which is pre-formed with these little honeycombs on them. It's got zigzag wire supporting in it, and the two top rails. What I use, instead of using the gimp pins that most people use, are these 14mm staples here. Very cheap to use. They just go in this staple gun, which you can buy from any local hardware store, your B&Qs, your Lowe's, the likes of them. Quite simple to use. Pull this out, load your staples into this area here, lock it shut, and you're good to go. It's just a case of pushing down, push the trigger, which will force the staple into the wood. Also, I use a little small ball peen hammer. This is just to get everything aligned and tight before I start stapling. Sometimes the staples don't go all the way in, so it's quite handy just to tap them in with that. And that's all the equipment we need. So let's crack on, and I'll show you how I put these frames together. So first of all, you put the two end rails on. They just slide into the retaining area of your top bar. As you can see, they haven't quite went all the way home and not flush there on the top. That's where the ball peen hammer comes in. Just a gentle tap, and that'll bring them flushing through. So the next thing is to put the wax strip into the recesses along here. What I generally do, as you look at the wax and you see where the zigzag lines are coming down, there's 3 lugs on the top and 2 over the bottom. I generally fold them in just to make it that little bit easier for them to retain inside the grooves. There's a little bit of a manipulation here to get them in correctly, but they go in and then they just slot down. As you can see, a little gentle help, and that'll slot right into that frame there. So you're left with your 3 little tabs sticking up over. Next, get your bottom bars. They will go into these small recesses here. There's the first one in. Once I've gotten the first one in, what I tend to do is fold them little tabboards over just to keep it affixed a little bit. Then it's a case of putting your next bottom bar on. That should slot in with a little bit tap. That's getting them in, but they're not quite flush on the ends here. So I'll just do a little bit tap on the bench to line that up. There you go. All lined up nice. So now it's a case of putting a staple one into this area here to support these two bottom bars. Same on the opposite side. Quite simple. One staple, two staples. As you can see, they're stapled securely in there. Next, I put a staple in this area here just to secure the wax sheet within this area here. There you go, simple staple in there. That'll secure that nice and firmly. There's no way that's going to come out. Now to the top bar, I need to put a staple in each side just to retain that. There we go, you can see that. And that's quite secure in there. The size staple I'm using is a 14mm staple, which is more than enough to keep that supported nice and tightly in there. Do the same with the other side. And there you have your completed frame. As I say, I don't get failures with these frames. You can pry on there, there's quite a bit of weight you may have to put on there. Sometimes it's all glued together with propolis. And as I say, do not get failures with these. So 14mm staple, it's quite simple, quite quick. I'm not struggling with putting gimp pins in, which I find quite hard. I've tried in the past, but with having big fat fingers, I just struggle with it. So I found this is the most easiest way for me to put frames together, quickest and easiest, and you can knock them up very, very quickly and efficiently. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Thanks very much. Bye bye for now.